the Car Wash Magazine Live studio. This is the afternoon kind of kickoff to day 2 of a ton of content. We've been spending some time sharing some great industry stories, great inside information about different things you can do to make your business better, to make your people better, to make yourself better. So in that vein, we're going to have a conversation now that's kind of an origin story for Tagg-N-Go Car Wash. We're going to talk to Quinn Allgood and Connor Atkin. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is going to be a little bit of a ride, guys. So we had a really fun prep call. These two individuals are very transparent. So if you're easily shy about transparent conversation, this maybe is not the conversation for you. Now, let's start at the beginning. You ready? Okay, all right. Talk to me a little bit about kind of how you all got started in this industry. Where did Tagg-N-Go come from?
I don't think his mic's on, is it?
Yeah. We started in 2012. We were actually both working at a bank, and we decided, you know what, we want to be entrepreneurs like our late fathers, and we want to go and find like a little side investment or some sort of gig, and ultimately found this really, really trashy self-serve car wash. And, you know, we thought, just like everybody else, oh, car wash is that simple to easy run. You know, we'll just fix it up and it'll just run itself.
Yeah.
Isn't that what it does? Yeah, that's
Easy
what it
money,
does, right?
Yeah.
So ultimately, we got into this self-serve car wash. It took a while for us to figure it out about how to finance it and everything like that. But we ran into, I mean, we did not know what we were doing in the car wash industry. And I mean, we're playing around with these parts. Like we'd go and we'd call our distributor that we found and we're like, hey, the hose is like shaking and it's making this vibrating noise and stuff like that. Like,
how do we fix it? Yeah.
How do we fix it?
How do we fix it? Yeah.
So that's kind of like the ultimate how we got into it was in 2012. So.
Well, okay. So Connor, maybe talk a little bit about like that process, right? Like, why couldn't you get any money? What was the deal?
We were in our early 20s, both of us, believe it or not. You know, I know we still look like 20, but we're not. But yeah, we had no money, and you need money to buy a business. So we went to multiple banks. We asked multiple people if they'd finance us, and of course they said no because we don't have a balance sheet. So that's really where we kind of started our first step into we just can't take no for an answer. So we finally, one day I was talking to my now late grandma, and I said, how did you guys get started 60 years ago? And she said, talk to a local bank. So we went and talked to a local bank, and then we had to get creative. They did 65%. The seller we asked, he did 25% carryback. And then the 10%, Quinn and I still had to do balance transfers and figure that out because we had no money. Yeah. So 100% financed. It can be done.
Okay, so what was it, though, about car washing that fit? Like, I mean, especially if you walk up to a kind of a dilapidated self-serve space, why would you want to buy that?
You know, it's just an opportunity. We were young. We didn't have much. It was in the price range of, okay, we could kind of figure this out. And that's basically kind of how it came. I mean, we were creative in that regards. I mean, I don't recommend anybody doing what we did, but we were definitely creative in that space. And so that's kind of how it fit our model in the fact of like, you know, we could figure this out.
Right. And now that we're in the express model, we attribute a lot of the success that we were able to start 3 years after to these kind of foundational years. We did that. We bought a second self-serve. We actually got in the septic business and pumped out our own pits. Yeah. So we were just kind of scrappy, and that's what we had to do. There's a quote that I always say that we didn't save our first dollar to put on the plaque because we needed to spend that dollar to pay all of our bills.
Yeah, every dollar mattered.
Yes, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to me more about kind of that adventure in financing and what that did, or what that maybe taught you, because you guys really did have to get super scrappy, and it wasn't just for that one, it was for then when you got into the express kind of operations, and I think that probably informs how you operate today.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, today it's no different. We're still scrappy. I'm meeting with a banker later this week, right? It's always a battle. But yeah, we started with that local bank. They actually did our second loan. They refinanced us out of a hard money loan that was 100% financed again, 3 points, 12% interest, so it was an expensive loan. But that's where Quinn and we always joke, I took a pay raise, he took a pay cut. When, you know, we went full-time into the car wash industry, and that's really where it started. Our relationship, we worked side by side for 7 years. I've now moved 4 hours north,
Yeah.
but that was so foundational to what we did. And again, like you say, there's a difference when everything's on the line and when it's kind of, handed to you. So for us, that's a big culture thing is, we work, we're driven, we're going to get up and work.
So tell me, Quinn, a little bit about like, how do you sleep knowing that, as you're building this thing, you're so leveraged in it? Like, how do you sleep? Like, are you like, no problem?
Yeah, I sleep great. My wife actually gets mad at me with how fast I fall asleep. It's like, I don't know, maybe it's just because I work myself so much that like at the end of the day, it's like I'm just beat and I just need to, put my head down. So, but ultimately, I mean, the debt, that side of things, I mean, it's really just believing in yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that we just really attribute to just working hard, believing in ourselves. We know that we can do it. We're investing in our own selves as well as our team. And I think that's what it really comes down to is just that belief and knowing that you can,
So, okay, so let's set the stage for everybody. Tell me a little bit about your all's size now and kind of where you're going in the next few years.
Yeah, so Tagg-N-Go, we currently have 13 open locations. We have 5 under construction right now, and we got 3 more in the pipeline. So we'll be over 20 in the next 18 months.
Wow.
And we kind of talked about it on the discovery call, right? Some people say they're going to do 500, and it's hard work to build even 2 a year, 1 a year, right?
Yeah.
Everything's hard. So, but we did also talk, we almost sold this business 2 years ago. Me and my wife had the feeling that we should move, so I went to Quinn, and he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I don't know, we just feel like we should move." So we went to market, but ultimately we decided not to sell as Quinn kind of captured our team. That was a lot of the why we didn't.
And that kind of goes back to like, we didn't get into the business to just sell the car wash and flip it. We really got into the business more so as being an entrepreneur.
Yep.
In the investment side of things. We quit our jobs to just go full bore into it. And it kind of got to that point where, we had these offers and then we're like, what should we do? And we're looking and thinking about our team that we had built up and thinking about the last few years, what would we do now? And we love the space, love the car wash industry. We see how much it's growing and the innovation that's happening. And it's like, we want to be a part of that. And that's ultimately what made the decision for us to stay and continue building and growing.
Grinding, yeah.
So
Yeah.
Some days are fun, some days aren't fun, right? Like any business. But
I mean, we look back in June of last year, we had 7 locations, and then now we're at 13 locations. And it's kind of mind blowing that we were able to do that, but we really pushed through it and have a great team around and rallied around. And of course, we made steps along the way there with even doubling. And I think we worked harder than we've ever worked. And so, you think that like after 10 years it gets easier and you work less? I don't think that's the case.
No, I think it's exponentially like more. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
it's just different. We're not prepping cars anymore, but we're doing something else.
I want to talk a little bit about this scrappiness again because these are 2 guys who, if you all own washes and they have not been to yours, you might show up one day and they'll just be there trying to find you to ask you if you can look at their wash. So you both have a story around this, I think, but can you just share an example of a time when you just kind of showed up and like went through wash and
Yeah,
figured it out?
I'll tell you when we first started, we had already put our down payment on our equipment, and we hadn't been to any wash. So and then we decided to go to one up in Idaho Falls. We got, and now 10 years later, we're like, okay, we should go see other washes before we just dive right in.
I mean, we showed up at Crew Car Wash headquarters, and we're like, wow, this is such an amazing headquarters and business and everything that they're doing. And then we just were like, hey, do you guys do tours here? And then we waited in the front office for probably about 45 minutes. They're trying to figure it out. Do we do tours? Do we not?
And we're like,
Billy-
it's okay if you don't. We just love your building.
Yeah, we were just admiring it. And then Billy comes out, shakes our hand. He's like, you really should give us a call if you're going to come out and visit us. And we're like, oh, we'll take note of that next time. So
have you learned?
Yes, we just went to Arkansas and called the Splash Guys before.
yeah,
So,
we did.
yeah.
So, I mean, every now and again, we might just show up to washes just to kind of go through. But,
Yeah,
some of the bigger ones that we might want to see behind the scenes, we'll ask. So,
that's real progress, guys. I'm really proud of you.
Yeah.
thanks.
You also described Tagg-N-Go as a 10-year-old business, right? But but it behaves like a 1-year startup. Talk to me about what does that mean?
I think going back to Quinn's point when we got into it, I remember it was probably 3 weeks in, we got an email to our, we called it aacarwashes@gmail.com just because it was Allgood Atkin. We had no idea. And somebody said, hey, we'd like to buy your express wash. And Quinn and I were like, we didn't even know that was a thing. We were literally that naive. But as we've gone on, we really didn't know. We weren't building processes. We were just kind of manhandling it, if you will.
Yeah.
And then once we made the jump to a new market, we're like, oh crap, we don't have our processes. You know, are the people, have we been training them, or have we been complacent? And so that's the 1 year. This major growth has pushed people to the limits. And yeah, it's a new company. There's a lot of new people because of that.
Yeah, we had a business coach that just said, you know, it'd be really nice to just be able to put a USB in your brain
Yeah.
and take that information and be able to stick it in somebody else's brain, because we didn't build out those processes. We didn't, like, everything was in either our heads or some of our managers' heads or anything like that. And so, you know, as we continue to scale, that was not scalable.
Right.
And so we now have a training department that helps out and builds that out. And
So
trying
if we were to go back,
standardize.
we'd start writing it down
You
from
would've
day
done that
one.
first, yeah.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if we would have, because we're not very good at writing that. But I mean, that's not,
ChatGPT would.
we
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
we know our strengths and our weaknesses. So get somebody else in there. And
So tell me a little bit about what the future looks like. What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to the industry and the innovation aspect of things. For us, I mean, we're also very much in the growth pattern as well.
Yep.
And so, yeah, we have 30 stores on the horizon of what we're trying to do, and I'm sure it will get bigger than that. You know, originally we only started thinking that we'd have 3 stores. And
2
so,
in St. George and 1 in Cedar City in Utah. And now we're in Mesquite, Nevada, and all the way up to close to Ogden, Utah. So
Wow.
we're kind of, Utah's kind of where we're focused on.
Nice.
one of the biggest things is, I think, as we've learned throughout the time, is like, and I know you're going to ask this question too, like, so maybe I'm jumping the gun with this. Limitations, you know, I think we all put limitations on ourselves, individually, in business. And for me, I think that's the biggest thing, is like, we put limitations at the very beginning of our business. And now we've kind of pushed past that because we've had to, or we've decided to, and really anything's possible.
And it really comes down to having the team behind you. We're sitting, I think, at 240 employees right now, and we'll probably be at 500 in the next 18 months. We're doing the hub and spoke model. So in northern Utah, we have a new indoor wash coming. So that's just a whole nother labor market, but we feel like the hub and spoke, we love that model. So as Quinn said, we love the innovation, and we want to be a part of that.
And this all started with a old, kind of vacant, self-serve car wash.
Yeah. The pictures don't even do it justice. I mean, we're looking at like potholes in the ground. I mean, no vinyl walls or anything. We painted the walls at first white.
Nice.
Because we were too cheap.
Because we were too cheap. And we didn't have any money. So it was just kind of like, this is what we have to do at the time. So,
Excellent.
but yeah, now it's changed. So
So I've got one more question. I ask this of everybody because I like quick sound bites from people and quick takeaways. Connor, we'll go with you first. What is one thing that I can do today that'll make me better tomorrow?
So I did plan this.
Yeah.
Me and my wife went to Hawaii, and I read a book in a week. That's how much I loved it. The Bill Marriott book, Success is Never Final.
Okay.
And that's really stuck home to me, that it really is never final. He was in his late 80s and still trying to build the brand and, you know, grow that business. So same today, just never have a complacent mindset. So you've never, I mean, right, we see that in the wash. We have a great day of 1,000 cars, and the next day it's rainy, right? It's never final. It's a grind every single day, and enjoy the grind. Enjoy that.
Yeah, celebrate that.
Yeah, exactly.
You have
That's where
to.
growth happens. Yep.
Same question. You might have already answered it.
yeah, I mean, once again, I'm going to go back to limitations.
Yeah.
I even think, I mean, I kind of mentioned the fact that we were cheap on our walls at first. We painted them instead. You know, being able to grind it out, figure it out in a different way, right? I think we put limitations on the fact that we couldn't afford that at the time. No, there was ways to do it. We just put that limitation on ourselves that we couldn't do it at that point in time. And ultimately, I think it's you know, a fight or flight almost sort of mentality aspect of it. And ultimately, you can always bet on yourself. You can fight through it. You can figure it out. And I think that's ultimately what it comes down to for me, myself.
Perfect. Well, there's a whole lot that we could still unpack, but we're running a little bit short on time. I encourage anybody who's watching this or listening to this or sitting in the studio audience to try and carve out some time to talk to these folks one-on-one. Their story really is fascinating once you really start to dig in and go a little deeper than what we were able to do in our short window today. But I do want to just say thank you so much for being willing to come up here and to share a part of your story with the car wash community.
Thank you.